Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Sunday night weekly candle close live stream. There's only one place to start, with XRP looking very nice as we approach the weekly candle close. Anyone that's in CC Pro knows we cover this every single week. We look at the weekly because it is the most important time frame. It signals everything to the market, and we are on course for a record high all-time weekly candle close for XRP, an all-time high weekly candle close for the total market cap of crypto, and the market is looking pretty bullish as we approach another week of madness. Hopefully bring it on. Let's have a look in the chat. I see a lot of people already. I already see somebody threatening to hand in their notice when Ethereum gets to $4,000. I think we'll get there very soon. Wouldn't surprise me if we don't get there within the next 7 days. Let's see who else is in. Everybody enjoying the music. Nice. Hopefully it's loud enough. CMAC is buzzing, and he's buzzing. Everybody else is buzzing. Yeah, it was a long bear market. It was a long period of real negative sentiment, to be fair. It was a tough bear market, but patience pays, and we are all now here to enjoy the fruits of that patience. Don's handing his notice when he gets to Borg. I'm sure his superior deck will be disappointed. Let's have a look around the market before we dive into the chat. Bitcoin just having a little bit of a retracement tonight. We did post in CC Pro earlier that we thought that the market likely retraces either before or after the weekly close tonight, simply because we have been pretty much straight up across the market, less so in Bitcoin. If you look at Ethereum, for example, just insane rally since the 9th of July. We're pretty much up 47%. So the market eventually has to go sideways, has to cool off a little bit. The weekly candle close, like I said, is a key signal to the entire market. So it would make sense that either we dump before the candle close with the US futures market opening. It opens in a couple of hours. Or they wait until the candle close, everybody feels bullish, record candle closes, and then they crash the price just quickly, liquidate late longs, get rid of some of the open interest, freak out some of the retail, because if you think about it, over the last 2 weeks, there's probably been a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of new people in the space that aren't familiar with crypto. A lot of people buying. I saw a few posts about people buying XRP at all-time high. If they dump the market 10%, people will freak out and sell, and that's an easy way for smart money, especially exchanges, to scoop up some crypto. But as we approach the close, we're looking pretty bullish, to be fair. Bitcoin at $118,000. If we look at it on a smaller time frame, maybe the 12-hour, you can see it does look like it's forming a bit of a bull flag, something rough like that. Breaks to the upside, then the target, coincidentally, if we take it from here to here, the target of a breakout, if it breaks out, say around here, is 134k. Now if we go back to the higher time frames, I'm pretty sure we draw on the fibs, we get 131, and if we draw on the fibs on this move here, we get 133,891. So that target seems to make sense, seems to have quite a lot of confluence that might play out. What wouldn't surprise me is if we actually break below the triangle. Everybody thinks we're going to break down and then reverse and move back up. We've got quite a quiet week in the US stock market as well, so we'll cover that in a second. Ethereum, this will be the highest weekly candle close since December the 9th, when we were back at kind of $4,000. Huge move this week. We are up 26% in a week for a multi-billion-dollar market cap. That is a huge move, and it's sending some liquidity into altcoins. I actually was talking me, Deck and Dom were talking earlier, and I was saying what would be ideal for altcoins is actually Ethereum just go into that kind of sideways move, a bit like Bitcoin did last week. So you can see Bitcoin got all the way up, hit a peak, but it just traded sideways for much of last week, probably the last 10 days. If Ethereum did that, that would be brilliant for some of the smaller altcoins, and I do think Solana could have a very bullish week next week as well, and we'll cover that in a second. BNB looking really strong on the weekly, highest weekly candle close in history, on course for that as long as we close above 742. And what is really bullish across the charts is we're actually quite close to the weekly high. So BNB is less than 2% from the weekly high. That's an important signal. We're not running out of steam as the week comes to a close. Some other big moves, Uniswap obviously still above $10, showing a lot of strength. And then if we go to the market caps, total highest weekly candle close in history, all-time high, breakout, very, very bullish for the total market cap. We've got Total 2 putting in a massive move, so we're not far away now from all-time highs for the altcoin market. And even the others chart trying to get going, $300 billion with the next fib around 330. And we need Ethereum to kind of cool off for it to hit those levels, in my opinion. So if we do get that ETH cool off, I think we'll see some crazy runs in some of the smaller caps, and that'll be very bullish. So let's have a look at Solana, because Solana in December, November time, when Trump got elected, led the market. We had quite a nice, strong move from Solana, pretty much the back end of last year, caused by the meme cycle. Pretty much from September the 5th, Solana just pumped into December, 140% gain, all-time high. But then it absolutely got slammed. Memes pretty much deteriorated, crashed, and we've not really seen that Solana outperformance in the market so far. Over the last few weeks, we broke out of this parallel channel, tested its support, and we are now making our way up. I think we did hit the target of that. I think I showed this on one of the streams that the target for the breakout of this parallel channel was to here. So we're just short of it now, 187. So just short of it. But if we look at Solana dominance on the daily chart, we can see we've been really lagging for a while, down at 2.5%. The peak back in January when it put its all-time high in was almost 4%. The fact that XRPs went on a run, Ethereum dominance has went on a run, obviously Bitcoin dominance is now retracing. I think Solana dominance could rise this week, and that would coincide with a nice Solana move much higher, and it's probably overdue as well. We are starting to see some really bullish news for Solana network, volumes back up. We're seeing volume on chain leading the way. That's all the stuff we saw last year, which then led to the all-time high. So could be a bullish week for Solana. I also think it's quite interesting that Solana had the staking ETF before Ethereum, but it's not really followed through into Solana price. I expect Solana to be the next benefit of institutional buying. So we've saw Bitcoin, we've saw Ethereum. I think Solana will probably be next. So we could see that starting this week. And if we look at Borg having a very nice day, up at 26 cents. Breaking out of this accumulation zone above all the wicks now. So I think we've said for ages that, I thought it was just a matter of time. We needed that retail FOMO to enter. We're probably starting to see that, and that's why we're seeing Borg starting to do well. I know certainly I'm getting more and more messages about crypto, seeing a lot more, even getting asked from people that aren't into crypto, should they be buying? that tells you that retail's starting to enter the market, which is very bullish. And then you've got stuff like this, and I know I'm going to annoy loads of Caspa holders, but you're seeing things like this. Caspa is not here to help or fix Bitcoin, it's here to absorb its value. If anyone thinks Caspa is going to replace Bitcoin, you need your head checked. But we're starting to see posts like this, which appear when the market is starting to get a bit frothy, starting to get a bit excited. So that's another reason why there could be a short-term pullback, just to kind of freak out retail, which would be healthy in my opinion. Bitcoin dominance, let's have a quick look at that. So we drew this arrow on a few streams ago. We just said we thought we'd come down and maybe retrace back up to the 702 level before carrying on further down. If I add this indicator here, it normally shows overbought conditions. So a green, let me take this off just for a second. So a green symbol is a bottom signal. You don't get a lot of those. As you can see, we've not had one since May 2021. We're starting to see that on dominance. So that tells me that we're probably about to see a bit of a resurgence in Bitcoin dominance, and that would coincide perfectly with a retracement back up to the 702, test it as support, but test it as resistance rather, and carry on further downward. And that might coincide with a Bitcoin rally this week, a breakout of that pennant that I showed earlier, and yeah, it would coincide with a Bitcoin dominance pump, which all healthy, all part of the game, all part of a bull run. Let's have a look in the chat. I see so many messages coming in. Let's see. Lockie saying Bitcoin jewelry balance. Ryan says we're going to melt up. Alex is saying the music's too loud. Let's see what we say. We've got the sound engineer deck on the chat, so we'll see what he says. He's pretty good for these things. Let's have a look. Return of Opulus and Flame. Yeah, I think Opulus had quite a nice move and then retraced it last week, but now it's up 13% today. As we see, we're now filling those wicks. But looking really strong. I've said this for ages as well, like Opulus, LimeWire, Inspect, all these things, they take a bit of time. They need that capital rotation throughout the market. The market right now is dominated by the bigger cap altcoins, but when we see the money flow, we'll see these massive moves. I mean, a 13% move for Opulus on a Sunday is pretty bullish, probably the highest in the market apart from Borg. So yeah, I think Opulus, Flame, LimeWire, MV, all these coins, they just need that capital rotation. And if Ethereum does stall out and start to go sideways this week, let's have a look at where we are in relation to the chart. I mean, if we close above 3640, that's a pretty bullish close for Ethereum. It wouldn't worry me at all if we then start consolidating. Let me draw it on what we could do. You know, we could come down and just do something like that and then bounce back up and then go much higher. I think what everyone gets lured into at this time is that they think it's up only and up only forever. There's going to be retracements, there's going to be 10, 12, 15% pullbacks, which are more than healthy. What it does is it just shakes out a lot of the leverage. and that's the easiest way for exchanges to make money. So wiping out the leverage, it also freaks out a lot of the newcomers to the market. So people that have got in last week because they saw the headlines, they bought Bitcoin at $118,000, they buy Ethereum at $3,700, and they buy XRP at $350 because they see it on the news, they see it on Twitter, and they think they have to buy. The market then crashes and they just sell because they're not used to it, they're not conditioned for it, they've not been through a bear market, so they're not used to what a bear market's like. So a 10% or 15% correction is probably a lot if you're not used to the volatility of crypto. So you just have to be aware of that. It's going to happen. It's just part of the plan. Within this quarter, well, potentially. I would say by the end of 2025 is more realistic, but it really depends. We've got news like this coming out that Jerome Powell is not denying that he's going to resign. He's got a speech on Tuesday, so we've got things like that can still send the market absolutely flying. We've got Howard Lutnick saying that the next 2 weeks are going to be for the record books in terms of trade deals, and then obviously you've got the UK doing its best to self-sabotage and sell its own Bitcoin, because the place isn't a big enough disaster. They want to get rid of one of the assets it does have. But these two headlines here about Howard Lutnick saying the trade deals are going to be record-breaking, Jerome Powell's potentially resigning, they all are catalysts for another move higher. So yeah, we could see massive run into the end of the quarter. We also have earnings season that really hasn't caught many of the headlines. So this week we have Coca-Cola, we've got GM, we've got Google, Tesla, Intel, all reporting earnings, and they'll potentially highlight what I've been saying for ages, that the recession's not coming, tariffs aren't going to cripple US businesses like everybody predicts, and that they've probably got better guidance than expected for the second half of the year, which everybody should have, and that's why we're seeing Bitcoin and crypto in general doing really well, because liquidity is going to be a lot thicker in the second half of the year. So yeah, Borg could do an all-time high, but I would not bank on it before the end of September. By the end of 2025, I think we will be in a much stronger place. Yeah, C-Mac, you're totally right, but you are conditioned to what is most recent. So even the hardened investor who has seen this market go up, down, sideways, whatever, when the pullback does come, it still hurts. Because if you're, for example, let's say you're holding XRP and you've been buying since down here 30 cents and you're up at 350 and your target is $5, $6, $7, you start getting up higher, you get to all-time high, you get the weekly closes, you start planning for what you're going to do with that cash, and then we retrace, and then you're like, so even the hardened investor still gets shaken a little bit by the pullbacks. So imagine what happens if you've just FOMO'd in, first time buying crypto this week, and we get like a 10-15% correction. It's just brutal. The emotions that it will do crazy things to people selling, even though they know they shouldn't sell. It's madness. BNB looking very strong indeed. How far away from an all-time? Be interested if we got another all-time high. Less than 5% from an all-time high for BNB. So yeah, wonder how many all-time highs we will stream live this bull run. We had XRP, we've had Bitcoin. I think we'll get an Ethereum one pretty soon. I think BNB will happen probably this week. And yeah, I'm expecting all-time highs across the market. Let's have a look at some big moves this week. So Polkadot, that's one I get asked about a lot. Still down in the absolute trenches, just trying to get above the bear market accumulation zone. But a nice move this week, 12.95%, so just shy of 13%. Needs to break above the 200-day moving average, and that'll be the signal that it is ready to get out of this zone. Nobody ever asks me about Litecoin, but an absolute monster move from Litecoin this week, up 15%. Quite a big market cap on Litecoin as well. If you can see, it's been trending higher and higher for 3 years. It's pretty much been putting in, if you look at the weekly, a low, higher low, kind of even low with there, and then another higher low. So it's pretty much been in an uptrend since June 2022, which not many coins can say that. Most people will have faded it. Most people have ignored it. I don't know anyone that holds Litecoin, if I'm honest. But looking really strong after this week. Broke above the weekly and the daily 200 MA all in the past 2 weeks. Now targeting range highs around 148, and then from there you're probably talking up to 280. So quite a big move for Litecoin coming up once it gets out of the highs from December. No one ever asked me about Litecoin, so thought I'd cover it just for a bit of fun. VeChain, another one that's really performed over the last few days, 15% in the week, but the last few days it's done really well. Now at the 200-day moving average, like so many coins, but you can see this level here at 0.019, well respected level for over a year, and then we now look like we're going to get follow through. If we break above the 0.0319 level, we should head higher, and pretty obvious levels there, 0.049 and 0.068 targets for that. So nice move from VeChain. Pretty easy trade as well. If you were looking for a trade, that level there was a pretty easy call when it got back down here, that it was going to take off from there, and you could pretty easily trade it. Even if you got in a day after, you could trade it and put your stop loss somewhere around there, and you've still got a massive move, and you've got quite a lot of room to play with there. So quite a big stop loss, but it allows you to just let the trade breathe, allows you to avoid any scam wicks, any stop loss hunting, and it allows you to just benefit from the upside. If you are new to crypto, or you want to get in trading, in CC Pro, our private members community, we've got a trading section with all these TA setups, loads of live trades, and loads of explainers on how to get involved in trading, tutorials and stuff like that. But we'll talk about CC Pro later. Let's have a look at Dogecoin. So this came up on the last stream about Dogecoin. It kind of underperformed, hadn't really moved, but you can see after it bounced off the weekly 200 MA, it's pretty much been up since. Now up over 87% since the 200 week moving average. So anyone that follows me, anyone that's been watching the channel for ages, I love 200 MAs on the weekly and the daily and the 3-day time frame, and this is why they just give clear signal. You don't have to overcomplicate it with loads of indicators. We bounced off it and we have rallied almost 90% since. Dogecoin to 50 cents quicker than anyone will believe it, and yeah, I think we'll see an all-time high for Dogecoin. I think we'll see an all-time high for Pepe. I think we'll see one of the most ridiculous meme seasons of all time, and that'll probably mark a local top. When you see meme coins go crazy and everybody's obsessed with meme coins, it's probably when the market's topping, whether it be short-term or long-term. It just tells you there's too much froth, there's too much risk taken in the market. It's normally a good sign to start deleveraging or getting out some profit. Next, yeah, I can see Borg getting to 150. Yep. No, news does not move markets. News follows markets. Price tells you the story. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on, but there's plenty of examples back in time where you can see that price moves and then the news breaks, whether it be, well, just think of the big news stories of your lifetime or the last 25 years. Go to them on a chart and you'll see 3, 4, 5 days before price starts to move. And it's all because it's manipulated. Every single market in the world is manipulated. So the people at the top in the know get the news before it's released on CNN or CNBC or BBC. So they start to sell. They generally have bigger positions than retail. And by the time the news breaks, the price has already crashed. Or pumped if it's the opposite way around. So yeah, news follows price. If you want to know what's happening, just look at a price chart. It'll tell you way before the news will tell you. Let's have a look at CKB. I don't know what CKB is. Let's have a look. I think we must have. Did we plot this on the last one? Yeah, you can see. So we plotted this line. You can see nice reaction off it. Up 96% since this level here. So yeah, pretty strong reaction. 200-day moving average, which coincides with this wick low. So MAs that coincide with key levels are always worth paying attention to, because it means you're reclaiming this low from August and the 200-day moving average if you close above this level here. So yeah, could be quite a strong move. You might get a back test, so you might tomorrow get some follow through and then back test it. So if you've not bought a lot or you've not bought what you want, you could enter a gain there. Some nice random coins coming in tonight. Let's have a look. I'm not ignoring the Mubarak, but there's not a lot I can say about a meme coin, to be honest. Mubarak is a meme coin. It'll do well when meme coin craze hits, and it will hit. We will have another massive meme season, so if you hold it for then. Same with Landwolf. There's not much to say in between. There's no TA. I don't really like people talking about TA on meme coins. Meme coins move when there's hype. Meme coins move when there's a massive buyer. That's pretty much it. They don't really respect normal TA because, let's be honest, they're nonsense. So yeah, Landwolf will do well. I think when memes take off, I still hold loads of Landwolf. I actually found 2 wallets with Landwolf in it last week. So that is probably an important lesson. I think Dex told the story about losing Dogecoin about 100 times, but it's such an important lesson. Like I've got like 8 Phantom wallets, I've got 5 or 6 MetaMask wallets, I've got MetaMask on Ethereum, Arbitrum, BNB, Polygon, all these different wallets. You'll have coins everywhere, so you just need to have a plan of actually consolidating and selling, because otherwise you'll end up missing out on some decent profits. OXT, pretty much like most altcoins, put in a double bottom, looks bullish on the weekly. So yeah, it's very similar to most altcoins. Double bottom, you wanted to take out and close above 7 cents, and then from there you're probably looking at attacking the December highs, and that is literally the story of the altcoin market. Dick's talking about my random tunes. Yeah, I can't remember what happened. I must have clicked a playlist. I'm surprised we never got it taken down, to be fair. Nix, you've asked that 3 times. Pretty sure. Vinny says, any coins that look good? To be honest, we were having this conversation earlier. So if you look at the others chart, like, we're still quite low. We're not making all-time highs. Total 3 is starting to get up closer to all-time highs. total 2 again. But there's still a lot of value in the market. You look at Arbitrum, for example, starting to reclaim this level here. From there, I think Arbitrum could move pretty quickly. Let's draw that on because it is trying to regain quite a key level. A close above here for Arbitrum literally will send it, I think, up above $1 pretty quickly. So still cheap. You expect the fact that they announced tokenized stocks, you expect Arbitrum to get back to all-time high. So what's that? 5x from here. Jupiter I've spoke about a lot. This was actually a trade that we took in our alpha streams. So in CC Pro we have an alpha member section for kind of high net worth individuals, serious investors, people that want to look at alternative investments. Every Monday we do a live stream just for those members. We took this as a trade on Jupiter, so up 61%. If you think about doing 10x on that, you're up 600%, and the risk was relatively low. Stop loss below this 7th April wick low. Easy trade to manage, and we're just approaching the neckline of the double bottom. Break above that, and I genuinely believe when we start breaking these double bottoms, we're going to see huge impulsive moves higher across the space. So Jupiter, one to watch, but there's nothing. Athena, that's so infuriating. I looked at Athena earlier and kind of was swayed against taking a trade on a Sunday. But yeah, I think Athena's up 15%. Syscoin, again, somebody asked about Syscoin. Not even at the neckline of the double bottom. So 18 cents would be a nice move from here, which is what, at least a 3x, and that's just back to December highs. And when you measure the market versus December, we're still massively undervalued. Most altcoins are miles from their December high. Look at Filecoin, for example. I think Filecoin never even broke its March high. But if you look, this is its December high, still down 65%. Some of the bigger coins, Zilliqa, still down 64%. And we actually showed this on a number of charts a few weeks ago in CC Pro in our market analysis section, where we showed that the market's not... We've probably had 2 good weeks, right? In the grand scheme of things, we've had 3 years of getting absolutely pummeled, apart from March 2024 and November, December 2024. Other than that, we've had horrific 3 years. So we've had 2 good weeks. It feels really nice to see green in the market. Everybody's excited, but the market's still relatively undervalued, in my personal opinion. We've still got ETFs, we've still got rate cuts, we've still got the laws that they're talking about, Genius and Clarity Act, to actually be signed in. We've still got the XRP appeal to be dropped. So many catalysts to come that, yeah, you could go through the market. And, you know, Filecoin, DYDX is another one that stands out to me. Yeah, look how cheap it is. Still in this bear market. In fact, it's still below the bear market prices. So, yeah, there's so much value in the market. Ethereum Classic having a nice move, as it normally does when Ethereum does well. 200-week moving average at 24.76. Reclaim that, and things get quite spicy quite quickly. Gala, I spoke about this on the last stream. At the 200-day moving average, up quite nicely though, because I think the last stream it was down much lower. I'll tell you, because I actually have a trade open on Gala. Entry price was 0.017. So where's that? So just here. So basically last week. So up about 20% in the week. Nice little move. Hedera flying back up to the 618. So you might see a bit of a retrace here, but normally it was the 702 that catches most altcoins out. Someone asked about Hedera. There's actually loads of coins asked about. Where do I think Hedera will get to? I think I said on last stream, you could easily see over $1 for Hedera. I can cover Sushi. Sushi is, flying, absolutely flying. I've been talking about Sushi for months, and finally it repays all my bullishness in it. This week alone, we are up almost 40%, broken above the double bottom, the neckline, broken above the 200-day moving average. On the 3-day chart, we are now at the 200-day moving average, so we need to hopefully close the weekly above 98 cents, and then we've cleared all major MAs. And then for me, Sushi goes back to December highs, which 281 is just an incredible move when you think on the 21st of June we were down at 50 cents and we're going to be up basically 6x. But yeah, looking really nice, and yeah, something I've been banging on for months. Let's have a look. Let's take the FIBs off this. Let's drop from the bigger move. You can see SWE got up as high as pretty much the 702 last week. Fell just short, so we got to 424. 702 is at 429. That's typical. The 702 plays havoc in crypto. You can see we banged off it in May as well. I do think the next time we hit that level on the daily, we break above it, and from there I think we go to all-time high pretty quickly. I think SWE's been one of the strongest performers, and I think that'll continue. But again, I think the reason it's not right now is because of Ethereum. Ethereum is absolutely smashing the market in a good way. This is what we want to see. We want to see Bitcoin rally, then we want to see Ethereum rally, and then we want to see altcoins fly. So, as much as I love Ethereum flying, once it goes into sideways, I think that's when we see the rest of the market really take off. And I think if Solana can break out this week, you'll probably see SWE break out as well. They both kind of went hand in hand last time. I think that'll be bullish for the market overall. If you look at Ethereum dominance, I showed it briefly earlier, but you can see breaking out of a massive downtrend. So yeah, once this settles off, we could maybe get a retrace back below 10%. That would be incredibly bullish for alts. Targets for SWE, I've said for ages that it'll definitely do $9. Everybody tells me that's really conservative, because people are targeting high double digits, like 17. But for me, $9, somewhere in between here, break above the 1.618, and to be honest, that's plenty. You've had loads of chances to buy it so cheap that you have to balance that greed versus how much cash you really want to make, because not hitting the top of every fib isn't going to ruin you. You know, you need to be skimming profits on the way up. We're going to actually do a CC Pro members only profit taking live stream this week. So if you're not on CC Pro, the link is in the description. This is what you get. So this is a bit a free plug for CC Pro. We don't sponsor any of our streams, so we basically self-sponsor our streams. So this is our CC Pro, our private members Discord community. You get the weekly analysis of the candle closes like we discussed earlier, which we're kind of covering here. You get the CC Pro podcast, you get members updates, you get daily updates, you get the chat room where you can talk to other crypto investors, you get copy trading, and you get members only live streams as well. And this week we are going to be doing a members only profit taking stream just for CC Pro members. We're going to do an alpha profit taking live stream tomorrow night, and then this week we will be doing a CC Pro members only live stream to make sure everybody in CC Pro wins and takes as much profit out of the market as possible. But yeah, for to go back to SWE, I think if you're not taking profit once you break above the 1.618 and you're just holding out, like, you're asking to get wrecked, because anything could happen. You could get above 11 and some government somewhere in the world does something daft and that crashes the markets. And let's be serious, that is not out of the question, the world we live in. So yeah, just balance greed with making as much money as possible. Let's do Altcoin since you asked. Let's have a look at it on the weekly. Yeah, to be fair, it looks pretty strong compared to the rest of the market. It's not one I really know too much about, but looking pretty strong. Hopefully, this is, I mean, it's easy in hindsight, but if you look at this as a prime example, you've had, let's have a look, you've had 930 days to accumulate Altcoin sub 0.003. It's now 2x from the peak of that range, so you could actually accumulate it at like fractions of a cent. So if in basically 3 years you've not scooped up loads of cheap Altcoin, then I don't know what to tell you. We're now up 2x from the top of this range. It looks pretty strong. The fact that it's outperforming most of the market and it's above its bear market low, it never dropped as low to put in that double bottom. Most of the double bottoms from the altcoins came back down to their bear market low. So in this move here, most altcoins came down, done that, and are now just sitting here. Altcoin didn't, which is a sign of strength, obviously. And it has broke above its double bottom, which sits here. So a weekly close above this level here, 0.006 is bullish, and you would expect the December high or the February high to get taken out pretty quickly. And then from there it just starts climbing, because there's not a lot of resistance. You'd say one at 1.5 cents, and then from there maybe fill this wick up to 3 cents. So yeah, looks pretty good, to be fair. If you look at let's use sushi as an example just to compare it. You can see the double bottom on sushi, it came right back down to its bear market bottom. Altcoin didn't. So yeah, pretty bullish, to be fair. Usman, do you think low market cap alts will still fly even though they're considered high risk? That's why they'll fly. That is exactly why they'll fly. That's why meme coins do well. If you think about why, this is the thing, a lot of people get really tribal in crypto, like I hold XRP, so I hate this other coin, blah, blah. It's all nonsense. The whole point of investing in crypto is to make money. What happens, and the reason meme coins are 100 billion supply is because they look really cheap to the uneducated investor. So if I didn't know anything about crypto, came into the market today, would I try and buy $118,000 Bitcoin? Probably not. It's expensive. I'm not going to be able to buy one. If I buy $1,000, I'm buying 100th of a Bitcoin. Like, that doesn't appeal to me. Ethereum, $3,700 looks a bit more attractive. XRP, $350, that looks attractive. But then I look at Pepe and I'm like, oh my god, for $1,000 I can buy 1 million Pepe coins. That means if it goes to $1, I'll be a millionaire. That's the way people think, and we can all laugh and joke. We've all been there at one point. I'm sure we've all done the exact same thing. That's why high risk coins fly, because people enter the market and they feel like they've lost 2 years because they've not been buying in the bear market, so they need to catch up. And the only way to catch up is to go out on the risk curve, to buy more risky assets and hope that they 100x, because you've not bought enough to 10x. So your $1,000, a 10x gets you 10 grand, but if you invest it in something more risky, you might get 100 grand for it. So yeah, I think that's exactly why. Will some not fly? That's what I'm asking. Are they actually risky? Yeah, they are risky because they go to zero eventually. So they are very risky. They might not run. I think there's going to be certain projects that fail, go to zero, don't do anything. But I think liquidity pours in, and it's like the easiest way to describe it is, see if you pour a bucket of water on like a cobbled driveway or a brick driveway, the water just flows into all the little gaps. It doesn't just go straight down. It flows into all the little crevices, all the little cracks. That's what liquidity does when it enters the crypto market. It just finds a home, because crypto's fully degens, it's fully risk takers, it's fully people that just want to make 100x's. So everybody's always looking for the undervalued coin. Look at this stream already. I've been asked, what coins would I buy? What looks cheap? Because everybody's looking for that next big multiplier. People aren't happy with buying XRP and hoping for a 2x. They're not happy buying Bitcoin and hoping for a 20% gain. They want 10x. They want 15x. They want 100x. So that's what forces the liquidity into all these other coins. So yeah, there will be certain projects. There will be a few that don't run. There will be a few that go to zero. There will be some that go bust or the team disappear. But liquidity will find a home, and when liquidity pours in properly, bear in mind we've not had QE, we've not had rate cuts. The US is still at the highest rate it's been at for decades. Like, when these liquidity taps turn on, I think people underestimate how high and how fast certain cryptos can move. So yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. Of course, there's certain projects that won't run. That's just a given in an industry with hundreds of thousands of projects. But I think it'll be 1 in 100 that doesn't get that liquidity, because somebody somewhere will seek out a project that's not moved and punt 5 grand into it to try and get it going. Right, let's have a look. How do you set your fib targets? So just local high to local low. So it depends on your time frame. So if it's a weekly, you might go back to the last bull run to bear market low. For the daily, you might just go the latest move. So that would be May down to June. Yeah, I think this 130k range is a really interesting price for Bitcoin. Keep an eye on 131 to 134k. I think if we break above 125k, every single person is going to tell you 150k is next, because it makes sense. So it would just be very crypto-esque to get to 134k, just a random number, and just reverse and catch so many people out. So just, yeah, watch that area there. There's a few fibs that I've showed tonight line up with that 130k range. It would just be so typical of Bitcoin to lure everybody in, think we're going to 150k, and then just reverse and just trap loads of late longs. Yeah, I think DYDX can do an all-time high. Ethan, we've covered Hedera. I'll look at Render shortly. I think let's have a look. I think answering these questions rather than just looking at charts is probably a bit more valuable right now. So you have to go from a low to a high. So if you go from a low to a high, you can just reverse in here. But I think what you're doing is fib extension versus fib retracement, potentially. I don't know. You want to take it from the high to the low, and then it'll show you where the price should go. Well, XRP is at new highs next, so I guess how high does it go? I think, to be fair, I think XRP's barely got going. I think again, everybody's going to be shocked when it actually moves. I think everybody thinks this $7 to $9 area is just like a myth because XRP's been so boring for like years. But I think when it starts its next proper leg, that'll eventually lead it to that $9, maybe even up to $11 range. I think it'll be really fast. I think it'll happen quicker than MD expects. Was a project? I'm sure there was. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. But there will be certain projects. There will be projects that aren't around now that were around in 2021. That's just a fact of life. Kieran's asking about Drift and Antara. So I actually spoke to the founder of Antara because he's also the founder on another project. So he's going to actually give me an update. We actually might have him on the CC Pro podcast in the next 3 weeks ahead of a big launch. So yeah, Antara, he's going to get me an update this week. So it'll be in CC Pro. Drift, I will speak to the team, find out what's going on. I know they had a gaming partnership. I don't know how it benefited the token, but it was something to do with some racing gaming community. So let me find out the details. I'll drop it in the project update section in CC Pro as soon as I've got it, and I will, let everybody know. Thoughts on CHS? Chiliz. I really like Chiliz. I've always thought it's a good project. I just don't really know what they've done since launching all those daft fan tokens. It'll definitely have a big run, and the reason for it is just because, without sounding too rude, retail aren't that smart. So retail will come in, and if you're a retail investor that likes football, you'll think it's a great idea, so you'll buy it, and they'll play on that. I think they'll shill every big name they've got, so like Juventus, Inter Milan, they've got all these fan tokens. They're going to shill the hell out of them, as you would this bull run. So yeah, I think Chiliz will do really well. It's also why the coins has been absolutely slaughtered in this bear market. So yeah, I think watch this space. I think it could be one like Sushi that just one day just absolutely rips higher. Same picture. It's literally copy and paste across the space right now. Render at the 200-day moving average. You want to reclaim that, close above it, and then you want to capture the neckline of the double bottom at 556. Do that, and you're sweet. Until you do that, you're probably in a bit of no man's land because it's too late to enter. Because you should have entered at 282. Definitely can't enter at 440. But if you reclaim those levels, you're happy days, and you're probably targeting 1192 and then 1387, and then from there who knows where it can go. Definitely can get back up to the March 2024 levels. The hilarious thing is, one of the things I find really interesting in the space right now is March 2024 wasn't that bullish a time. Interest rates were really high. There was nothing massive in crypto other than Bitcoin and the ETFs. Nothing else was really happening. So the fact that we put in so many highs there was literally like almost like a fake pump to lure retail in, and then just slaughtered them for the next 6 months. Obviously November, December was because of Trump and pro-crypto, and obviously everything he's done since justifies why we got that pump in November, December. But yeah, March 2024 is a really strange high. You can see it across all the space, like Algorand somebody asked about earlier, which is actually looking really nice, above the 200-day moving average, above the neckline and the double bottom, 382 fib, but yeah, looking pretty decent. But you can see November 2024 high and the March 2024 high, so it's now back at that level. Yeah, Ethan, so we already spoke about it. There's a CC Pro members only profit taking stream this week, so hopefully you're on CC Pro to catch that. Mike, do you think most coins will do a 10x off the... I think a lot should. In theory they should. I mean, like Chile's got as low as 3 cents, so you're targeting somewhere up here. So November 2022 it done that price. November 2022 was basically the peak before FTX collapsed. That was literally the week FTX collapsed. So yeah, I mean, there's a good chance they do. Some won't, obviously. 10x is still a lot, but yeah, I think if you built a portfolio in the bear market across, say, 10 coins, the average you should be expecting across them all is 10x. Some will do 20, some will do 5, but a portfolio built properly in the bear market should do a 10x, I would say. Obviously no guarantees, no financial advice. Let's talk about Vantage. We've not actually covered Vantage on stream. So Vantage is our project. We've spoke about it a few times on stream. There's loads of content, but basically it's going to pay passive income to token holders month on month in USDT. We launched the community pre-sale, the CC Pro round. We sold out in less than an hour. We now have a public sale live. It closes on Wednesday. We'll probably close it late at night on Wednesday. You can still buy in. You need USDT on Solana chain, so use Phantom, probably the easiest. It's really easy. All the information's there. I'll drop the link for the pre-sale in the chat. The funds raised basically go to investing in diversified assets across the economy, and what I can tell you is from the pre-sale with CC Pro, those funds got invested straight away and they are doing very, very well, so token holders will not be disappointed. We're going to publish the first month's AUM growth on the 7th of August, and I think people will be very happy with how Vantage, the fund, is doing since the CC Pro pre-sale. So yeah, get involved. Really easy. TG will be later this year, and then you'll just stake your tokens, earn passive income every month. The goal is to try and get everybody to break even within 12 months. And it's diversified. It's not just crypto. It's across all markets. So you've got a bit of protection in the bear market. So that's Vantage. Time is running out to take part in Vantage. I fully expect the public sale to close and us to have DMs, messages and phone calls galore once we publish those results. TG is probably going to be end of September, start of October, but we just need to make sure everything is up to scratch, basically working. The fund itself continues to trade 24/7 all the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter. but we just want TG to be spot on, to be honest. Everything perfect for it. The hilarious thing is the TG, other than people getting their tokens, the launch isn't necessarily that crucial because the price of the token doesn't dictate the returns. So we want it to be perfect just because we're doing this as much to show what can be done in crypto, and we want our community and our following, our audience to win. So that's why we're launching Vantage. So yeah, but it's all here. So you've got tokenomics, you've got the pre-sale details, you've got the white paper. It's got everything on the website, so you can go and read it. If you're in CC Pro, we've done members updates, we've done podcasts, we've done streams, we've done videos, and we've answered loads of questions in the chat room as well. So we've probably covered it to death by now. Right, let's have a quick whiz through some of the weekly candle closes. Let's take this off. Bitcoin looks to be closing pretty nice. I've said before, if Bitcoin corrects down to 112k, that's fine. I don't think it will, but I think 115k would be an area that I would look at for a retracement. But you can see 112 was the May top. There's also this fair value gap that you've got from the Thursday the 10th of July candle. So it does make sense we eventually fill that gap. I'm not confident we will yet. This pennant, I think, can break at any point. 115k, worst case downside at the moment, but 112k looks like it could get hit eventually. Ethereum's still looking really strong on the weekly, closing in a few hours. We're just 2% from the weekly high, which is really strong. XRP, bullish close. Any weekly close above 340 is huge, massive move. And these weekly candle closes are like a signal to the wider market. It shows bullishness. It tells people how strong the market is. So they shouldn't be underestimated. And I think, yeah, it's XRP above 340 is going to be huge. Solana, breaking out of its kind of crooked double bottom, weekly close above 175. I think Solana could have a really good week next week if we don't see a deep retracement from Bitcoin. I think Ethereum needs to kind of go into a bit of cool off. Ethereum, in my opinion, can't go straight to $4,000 right now. It needs to cool off, build up some steam, and then attack that $4,000 level. So yeah, that's probably the main ones. Total market cap, another all-time high. Weekly candle close, closing above the all-time high. So technically in price discovery for the total crypto market cap, very bullish for me. And then just lastly, Bitcoin dominance. I do think we probably get a bounce, maybe up as high as 63%. Hopefully that coincides with a Bitcoin run. But if not, we will see a bit of retracement across the market, but that's fine. This is a new chart, stablecoin market cap. You can see higher highs, new all-time high for the stablecoin market cap in terms of candle closes. This wick looks like a scam. Wick probably is, to be fair. This is going to trend higher. This will be over $1 trillion within 12 months, and that is bullish for the entire crypto. So I just got a DM from somebody just double checking with Vantage. So the main attraction of Vantage is that when you stake your tokens, you earn passive income in USDT. So the goal is that every month you would stake your tokens and we pay you the yield from the fund in dollars, but you still have your tokens. So in an ideal world, what we're trying to aim for is within 12 months, if you've invested $1,000 in the pre-sale, within 12 months, you will have earned $1,000 in USDT paid to you monthly, but you've still got your $1,000 Vantage tokens. Depending on the market value of those tokens, you can buy more or you can sell some. The more people that sell tokens, the less stake tokens, which means there's more dollars to be shared amongst the stakers. The more people that buy, all the sales of tokens, the funds from that goes into the overall AUM. So no matter which way the token moves, everybody wins. If once you break even, once you get $1,000 paid out in monthly returns, you can just go and sell your $1,000 worth of tokens if you want. But obviously at that point, you're risk-free, you're earning passive income, and you're profitable. So there's loads of wins with Vantage. We've basically tried to make it so that everybody wins from it, and you still hold your tokens. So even after being paid out monthly, you've still got your tokens that you can sell if you want on the market, and it'll be trading just like a normal token. Staking will take place not necessarily just through Phantom, but any on the Solana chain, and the reason for that is it's cheap and it's fast. And the other advantage is, anyone knows us, we are huge fans of Swissborg. It's the easiest on and off ramp in crypto for UK users predominantly, and it uses the Solana chain to move USDT. So we wanted to make it as frictionless as possible for our members. So yeah, that's why the reasons. And literally, without blowing our own trumpet, everything was based around how to make it as easy and profitable for our audience. That's why it's not a meme coin. That's why it's not designed to do 100x straight off the bat and then somebody gets rugged. Like, it's nothing like that. It's all designed around yield. Yeah, Lockie, you're right, but Bitcoin doesn't move in logical ways sometimes. If you look, and I've shared this so many times, it's quite a good example though. I'll share it here. So I wonder if I've got a clean chart somewhere that I can use. Yeah, so this is a better chart. So anyone new to crypto, anyone new to charts, trading, let me zoom in. So this candle here creates a fair value gap or an imbalance. So you can see the wick here and the wick here leaves this massive imbalance. So hopefully you can see that. From this wick to that wick, that's called an imbalance. And if you actually look through most charts, you can see that, like, even if we look here, this wick comes up to here, this wick comes down to there. There's not much of an imbalance. So you would think that when we crashed to 98k, we should have actually crashed down to 97, but we fell short. And it's the same if we go back in time. When the tariff set on the 7th of April, 74k probably wasn't the downside target. The target should have been down here, around 73.6. Again, we fell short. And the reason I bring that up is there's so much buy demand in crypto right now that we're not getting to the downside targets. We're not giving those people that are stuck on the sidelines a chance to buy lower. It's the same like when Bitcoin went to 48k last August. Everybody said it was going to 36k. Everybody. And it never went there because it doesn't give people the chance to buy cheap. It's just the way Bitcoin moves. So logically, you're right. 112k makes sense. That means nothing in Bitcoin right now. There's so much buy demand, there's so much hype, there's so much excitement. That's not to say it doesn't get there. I agree. I think 112k makes sense, but it just doesn't move like that. We've seen so many examples of it. We're not hitting downside targets. We're reversing beforehand and people are having to buy in higher. We're luring in shorts and then we move higher. And we did the exact same with Ethereum. This chart here, so I've not actually covered this, but this weekly chart dates back to 2017. It might actually go further back. But if you can see this trend line, 2017 top, 2021, the two tops, the top from December 2024, and now we have broken above it, but last week we have now tested it as support. This is a 8-year trend line that we have broken and tested as support. I don't know if I can state that anymore. That is a huge statement. I think this is being ignored by so many people. Bitcoin looks incredibly bullish. Short term, yeah, we might get a retracement. Long term, 150k, 200k. I still think 230k. I think I said 220 to 230k is my top side target this cycle. I stand by that, and most days I actually become more confident of it. So, yeah. You look here as well. Ethereum, here's another example. Ethereum retraced here. The fair value gap was down to 1867. We got as low as 2115, and then we reversed. And since failing to fill that FVG, the fair value gap, we are up 70%. Crypto's not moving to allow people to buy cheap. There's too much manipulation, there's too much smart money, there's too much institutional people, and this is why we keep repeating the message. This is a dip buyer's market. It's not a sell and try and buy lower. You'll get wrecked. You'll end up buying higher. We've been saying it for months. In fact, we've been saying it since August last year that dips are for buying. If you try and sell and buy lower, you're likely to get wrecked. Next, good question. To be fair, I suppose it all depends on your risk tolerance. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve, and also how much you've made in XRP and whether it's your target and stuff. I know quite a few people that have taken profits on XRP and took profits on Solana in December and have rotated throughout the market. I still think we're really early to the crypto kind of pump, so you could. I wouldn't advise you one way or another. You kind of need to weigh it up because you're the one that has to live with the decision. If Borg trades sideways for 6 months and XRP goes to $11, then technically you're missing out on those gains. I am fully confident Borg's going to do an all-time high this year, but there's no guarantees. So yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely a strategy that I know people have done, but yeah, it could be risky. Let's have a look, deck. Let's have a look. I'm going to assume that's Deck's entry point on his trade. Nah, I am. Let's have a look. No, I don't think 2,400 is getting tested anytime soon. I think you've literally longed the bottom of this channel. Worst case scenario, I think we could do 2,890. The bottom of this green bar. You know, you can see it. It's got wicks there. It's got wicks there. It's got wicks here. It's got wicks here. It's got wicks here. That's 2024. So yeah, the bottom of this bar is 2850. That would probably be my worst case scenario. So I would ride that long for as long as you can, and just treat it like a spot trade for now. A very nice, juicy, leveraged long spot trade, but yeah, I can't see this orange line getting hit anytime soon. And to be fair, what an absolute beautiful long position. Anyone that follows Mitch Ray, so he talks about spring and back test, that's pretty much this. Dropped down, bounced, held the previous support, and away we go. and this was basically Dex entry here, so he's up 54%. So very nice, very nice. Nobody's asked about CRV. Curve always gets asked about on streams, so that's a strange one, but really nice move over the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks we are currently up 92%. We're up over 115% at the top. Slight retracement over the last couple of days. Again, healthy moves. I think we could come down to 86 cents, test the top of this kind of double bottom neckline there. Maybe 88, which was the March 2024 peak. I said a few weeks ago that I thought once we moved, we would move really quickly, because it always seems to. So yeah, big moves. Next target 132. If we break out of 132, logically we hit 159 pretty quickly. But if you look at the chart on a zoomed out perspective, there's pretty much nothing until 190, and then even after that, it's just up, down, up, down. So yeah, a lot of people took the CRV trade we posted in CC Pro, a swing trade. Should be performing pretty nicely now. Loads of upside left for this. This is going to be an absolute banker for everybody that took it. Yeah, I'll cover Casper. There's a lot of Casper fans, to be fair. Let's do the KuCoin. Somebody asked earlier about kind of undervalued. I don't know a lot about it to say it's undervalued, but yeah, it's breaking above the 200-day moving average right now as we speak. Probably going to close there tonight, which is quite a nice sign. Still cheap though. You've got these big wicks as well. We always talk about big wicks always get filled with candle bodies. It's because it's just a big liquidity trap. It's just a big manipulated move. So you are still down 50% from the top of these wicks, and you've got 4 of them all at the same level, and they all coincide with the bottom here. So that's like a magnet, that target there, 0.027. So yeah, I would expect that to get hit pretty soon. S&P 500 futures look like they've opened. So putting an all-time high on Friday. Don't know if that's official yet. That they've opened. Stock market all-time high. Nasdaq all-time high on Friday. Russell 2000 starting to break upwards. Huge moves across the traditional stock market. I think that'll continue this week as well, especially if this news turns out to be true that Jerome Powell is going to resign. You saw on, was it on Thursday or Friday? We got a big move. I think it was here actually. We got a big move down when the talk of Powell quitting, and then it must have been here. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Moved down and then bounced straight back up when Trump denied it. I think this is a test. I think this was to give the markets warning. I think they've been warned that this is probably going to happen. So yeah, looks like the rumours are growing. That'll be an interesting move this week.
Stop giving up. Yesterday, say tomorrow. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit. And you're gonna stop there and make your dreams come true. Nothing is impossible. No. What are you waiting for? Just do it.
Pepe trying to break through the 382 fib. If we clear that, then you would expect it to go to the 702 pretty quickly, which is 52% move. So yeah, looking very, very nice. Really bullish for Stellar Lumen, so XLM consolidating up at the range high. So it had an amazing move, not last week, the week before. Pumped 87% after, you can see it's double bottom, literally double bottom, and that's just absolute flu. This week, just having a bit of cool off on the daily chart, you can see it just consolidating. This will go again, and it'll fly again, and it'll make a new all-time high. So yeah, and you can see just total vertical charts, insane. So yeah, expect if it has another cool off week this week, that would be really bullish, and then we'll fly, but it might just go. Yeah, interest rates will be cut in September. They'll cut at least 25 basis points in September. I don't think they'll do anything in July. We're now, 10 days away? 95%. Unless something dramatic. To be fair, if Powell quits, then the game changes overnight. But yeah, it looks like September, 58% chance. That'll probably grow as we get closer. The economy's slowing. Regardless of the stock market, if you look at any macro data, they publish the jobs data every month, and unemployment was shown employment was shown strong. Unemployment rates were down, and new jobs were looking strong. And then on Friday night, after the market closed, they published a revision saying that actually new payrolls were revised down 800,000 for the last 6 months. So basically all the jobs numbers were wrong by 800,000 over a 6-month period. It's quite a big miss. So it just means that the labour market's not as strong as everybody thinks. People are working 2 jobs more than ever, credit card interest rates. And what everybody keeps harping on about is inflation. But what they're underestimating is that interest rates are causing the inflation. Because interest rates feed into your car payment, they feed into your credit cards, and they feed into your house. So those are the 3 biggest costs for most people, and interest rates affect every single one. Not to mention, small business rely on debt. Small businesses need cheap capital to function. That's why we're seeing the Mag 7 perform so well, because they don't care about interest rates. So yeah, the economy needs lower interest rates. Inflation's not an issue, tariffs aren't an issue. Inflation might come back, but it is what it is. It's not going to run away like it did the last time. AI is going to offset a lot of the inflationary pressures. Interest rates are too high, they need to come down. That has always been my take. It's been my take for about 12 months now. I think Powell's been political, and I also think he's trying to build a legacy where he was seen as a tough chairman. Being a weak central bank governor is not a great thing to be known for. So yeah, that's my 30-second thoughts on it. We covered Litecoin earlier, after me saying nobody ever asked about Litecoin. Looking really strong. Yeah, like I said, it's been an uptrend since June 2022. Really bullish. Most people ignored it, including myself. We've now reclaimed every single higher time frame, 200 moving average, the daily, the 3-day, and the weekly. So yeah, looking good. Take out these levels here, about 140, and yeah, sky's the limit really. Bitcoin 118k. I think we close out the week up here. I think XRP closes, if it closes above 350, happy days. As long as we close above 340, we're looking good. Ethereum above 3650, happy days. Total market cap, all-time high, weekly close, and above all-time high. Happy days. We are looking very, very bullish. As you can hear, my throat is starting to give up, so I'm going to call it there. But we will be back with loads of live streams this week. If you're in CC Pro, we're going to do a profit-taking members-only live stream this week, so you do not want to miss that. I'll post it in CC Pro so that you're aware of it. If you're not in CC Pro, you need to, yeah, there is a link. Let me drop the link. But yeah, it is going to be an important stream for everybody that wants to extract as much value from the market this bull run, which will be over quicker than anybody thinks. Don't get caught out. Alpha members, we will be on with you tomorrow night, and that is all. Thank you very much for tuning in as always, and I'll be back later this week to see you all.